gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, I can still get shot by the police, but I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, Shadow Realm? It's a Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into the video.
New at 6, a convicted murderer on parole is now charged with attacking a grandmother in a grocery store parking lot. As she recovers, she says St. Louis leaders kept her in the dark about her attacker's whereabouts. Ryan Henson reports.
On Thursday, February 23rd, a 69-year-old woman stopped by Straub's in the Central West End to buy cake for a coworker. In the parking lot, she noticed a man, later identified as John White Jr., trying to break into her car.
Wow. So there you have it, guys. The super gremlin of the hour tries to break into a elderly woman's car. I told you guys the super gremlins are targeting elderly people in general. And he is a convicted murderer who is out on parole. You know, it just doesn't make sense for the life of me why. Well, it does make sense, obviously. I believe the district attorney is Kim Gardner, and she in St. Louis, she has been vocal on criminal justice reform and making the system more fair and equitable. But all it's doing is endangering its citizens. And the worst part is she actually believes in her own rhetoric and policy changes.
As she called 911, he attacked.
And slammed her on the ground, and then began to punch and kick and stomp on her, put his feet on her neck.
Attorney Scott Sherman represents the victim. After assaulting the grandmother, police say White went inside the grocery store to attack employees and customers. When officers arrived, White attacked them too. He had to be tased before being placed in cuffs.
Wow, you mean to tell me the police didn't shoot a convicted murderer, black man who is raging on everybody in sight? You mean to tell me they brought him in somewhat peacefully? I know they had to tase him to sedate him, but it's a miracle.
What kind of injuries did she sustain, obviously, from that attack?
She's got a concussion. She was slammed to the ground. Her neck and the entire left side of her arms and body are sore and need medical attention.
Sherman says his client spent 5 days trying to get information from the St. Louis Circuit Attorney's Office about this case. Eventually, Sherman said he had to find out on his own that White was convicted of a 1999 murder, and he was out on parole during February's attack. The victim
So he committed a murder in 99, 24 years, and boom.
advocates finally connected with the grandmother. She had already missed the suspect's first bond hearing.
Day late, dollar short, and you have a 70-year-old woman who's afraid to go to sleep at night because she didn't know who or where he was.
I reached out to a spokesperson with the Circuit Attorney's Office who told me Victim Services deals directly with the victims, not civil attorneys like Sherman. The spokesperson said the office did make contact with the victim. Ryan Henson, 5 on your side.
And at his initial appearance, a judge denied White's bond request, so he remains behind bars. He is scheduled to be back in court Monday.
Back in the Central West End is yet again raising questions about how the St. Louis Circuit Attorney's Office treats victims of violence. This comes amid heightened attention into Kim Gardner's office as the Missouri Attorney General and Governor say it is time for her to go. Tonight, News 4 Investigates is learning about a grandmother being attacked by a man on parole for murder, and she says prosecutors are keeping her in the dark about that man. Here's News 4 investigator Susan Alcori.
Yeah, and the reason why they're keeping her in the dark is because they know they made a mistake by letting him out in the first place, and in order to minimize the liability, they have to make you believe that you're crazy other than admitting their own faults.
This comes down to someone who's the victim of a crime being told the person arrested in their case is in court. In St. Louis, that's handled by a victim services unit, which is run out of the circuit attorney's office. In this case, the woman claims victim services never contacted her, and she found out on her own that the man accused of attacking her was on parole for murder.
Wow. So, I mean, the fact that they never reached out to her, a victim, how can you, I mean, how are you going to charge the guy without at least getting the victim's testimony? Man, I mean, this should be a disbarable offense. It's insane.
What is this murderer doing on the streets of the city of St. Louis, body slamming a 70-year-old grandmother, lifetime resident of the city, who's going to Straub's to buy a piece of cake?
It's a story that sounds unbelievable, unfolding outside of this Straub's in the Central West End in daylight while Scott Sherman's client stopped in on her way to work.
She's afraid.
He's speaking for her since she's concerned for her safety. He claims she was walking into the store when she noticed a man at her car.
She called 911, and as she did that, he rushed her, picked her up, body slammed her, kicked her, punched her, and put his foot on her neck. The only reason that she was rescued is because customers and store employees at Straub's came out and physically took him off of her.
That man is 59
And shout out to those customers saving the child's life, or saving that woman's life. I mean, like I said before, young, old, it doesn't matter. These super gremlins are on demon time.
Year-old John White Jr. Turns out he's on parole for murder. But Sherman says he and his client had to find that out on their own, claiming victim services at the St. Louis Circuit Attorney's Office is not talking to them.
Have you heard from anyone from victim services?
No, they still haven't called us, and they haven't called her, and when we tried to get a response from them, they ghosted us.
Wow, I mean, how are they still practicing attorneys is beyond me.
So what is somebody to do? What's a crime victim to do?
White was in court earlier this week where a judge denied him bond. This court order makes it clear that the circuit attorney has to notify any victims. We reached out to prosecutors. They're not doing interviews, but tell us they contacted the other victims in this case and said victim services don't contact attorneys, they contact victims.
We're not asking for special treatment. We're just asking them to follow the law and follow the directive and the orders of the judge overseeing this case.
Sherman says there's surveillance video showing the attack, but he hasn't seen it and it hasn't been made public. St. Louis police release daily reports of crime in the city. This wasn't on the list. When we asked police why, they told us they typically only include shootings, homicides, or armed robberies.
Wow, so they're really trying to bury this this story. So I'm glad I found it for you guys. We need to start shedding light on this. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but it's extremely important for people in the community to shed a light on these situations. It's not okay to just continue to stay silent because this is going to create backlash.
They claim this was an assault where a weapon wasn't used. Police also tell us that officers on the case are supposed to notify victims when an arrest is made. We keep asking if that was done here. When it comes to White's parole, that's handled by the Missouri Department of Corrections. Our calls and emails went unanswered. Getting any more details about White's murder case is proving difficult. What we do know is that he's been on parole for almost a year and a half and served 22 years of a 25-year sentence. Court records show White pled guilty to a 1999 murder, but because the case is more than 2 decades old, those records aren't online. We've asked the courts for them. They told us they're being stored off-site and can take days to get. At the end of the day, Sherman says it shouldn't be this hard to get information on a case.
We should know if convicted murderers who are paroled are walking our streets and committing other offenses. before they body slam a 70-year-old grandmother in front of Straub's.
We're going to keep asking the Circuit Attorney's Office, when is that first time they're supposed to contact a victim as part of his parole? We know White had to do regular check-ins with his parole officer. I was told any information about that had to come from the Department of Corrections spokeswoman. We're going to keep reaching out to her to see if White had any parole violations. Susan Elcory, News 4 investigates.
Has exclusive surveillance video showing a convicted murderer brutally attacking a St. Louis grandmother. Investigator Susan Elcory discovered the video is only part of the story. She digs into the crime spree kept in the dark until now. And just a warning, some of the video may be upsetting to watch.
He should not have ever been on the street.
Wow, so you see he went and attacked that woman.
He's an animal. He kicked
Threw her down. This is somebody's grandmother.
her, stumped her, beat her, took her head and hit it against the ground.
Damn.
It's just...
And all she was trying to do was buy a cake. Let me tell you guys something. As much as this video pains me to see, can you guess what I'm gonna say? You guessed it. She, just like this sister, voted for this. They voted for the criminal justice reform, defund the police, all of these things that we're seeing the ramifications of now. These sisters 100% voted for it. Okay? That's a fact. That's a fact, man. And it's sad. It is sad, okay? But it's the truth.
horrible.
It's hard for Sheila to imagine, let alone see, her 70-year-old sister being attacked.
My sister will never be the same at all. She just won't.
The chaos didn't stop there, as shoppers at the Central West End Straub's got more than they bargained for.
I felt like they was trying to downplay everything.
At the center is John White Jr., a 59-year-old convicted murderer, allowed back on the streets.
Why was he let loose? I'm not understanding that.
Rewind to a few days earlier. In North St. Louis's College Hill neighborhood, White had a run-in with police and ended up in jail. All kept quiet until now. News 4 Investigates just got a copy of the police report detailing what happened. On February 19th, police say White was speeding, hit a parked car, and did not stop until crashing into these city flower planters. According to the report, police found him sitting on the sidewalk with a large bottle of liquor. Police claim White told EMTs he had cocaine in his system.
Damn.
And officers found what they suspected to be crack cocaine along with a glass pipe. White went to the hospital where police say he poked an officer in the face and inappropriately touched a nurse. Police booked White on multiple charges, including driving while intoxicated and 2 counts of 4th-degree assault, which are misdemeanors. But White wasn't charged, meaning he got to leave jail.
Damn. And they say that the criminal justice system's racist. I mean, that looks like a sweetheart deal to me. Gets to leave prison after all that.
When you learned that, what were you thinking?
They let him go. He shouldn't have never been on the streets.
Some of this
Yeah, they let him go, but why did they let him go? Because you asked for this, honey. Yeah, he shouldn't have been on the streets, but you guys asked for this, and they will not. One, they won't admit that they voted for this. I mean, you pretty much begged for it. And then 2, they won't admit that we have a problem and we need to do something about it.
He shouldn't have never been on the streets.
Some of this comes down to how arrest warrants are handled in the city. Police used to be able to take a case and walk into the courthouse where the circuit attorney's office would decide if there's enough for an arrest. But COVID stopped that, and now all cases are emailed to an inbox that keeps on growing.
I don't know what people have to do to get arrested in this town, but if punching police officers and groping nurses isn't it, it's a free-for-all in the city of St. Louis.
Yep, and it's been that way since, I would say, maybe 2019. Okay, and it's only getting worse.
and it's outrageous.
Attorney Scott Sherman represents Sheila's sister. He's questioning how police and prosecutors handle cases known as pending application of warrant, or PAW. These are cases police investigated, found evidence, then sent to prosecutors. Police say the latest count is 3,877 cases, all sitting in an email inbox waiting on prosecutors to make a decision.
It sends a message to the criminals and would-be criminals out there. Hey, it's a free-for-all.
Police say they can't keep everyone in jail, so some, like White, are released. We asked what happened in his case. A department spokesperson said it was added to the PAW list while we await the Missouri Highway Patrol lab results.
And I would definitely love to see those physical documents of evidence that from that 99 murder. Be very interesting.
White's accused of a DWI, and it's common to have a blood test sent to the state lab.
If those two acts alone, assaults against a police officer and a nurse trying to help him, aren't enough to get this guy locked up and charged, I don't know what would.
The police report doesn't mention White's murder conviction in a nearly 2 decades old case dating back to 1999. News 4 investigates on...
And I'm telling you guys, all these people who caught bodies before the internet, they're going to start leaking those individuals out on the streets, and these are the worst of the worst, the most degenerate, demented, hardened criminals that you ever could see. And they come from the 80s, the late 90s, mid 90s, and they're going to release these demons onto the streets. And it's not going to be good, but it will be a result of what you begged for, especially the black community. We begged for this. We asked for this. We asked for grandmothers to get their behinds beaten, okay, by these super gremlins on Demon Time.
Covered court records showing White pled guilty, admitting he shot into a St. Louis County home, killing Yvonne Gates, a 9-year-old girl playing inside. White was sentenced to 25 years in prison. He served 21. According to the Missouri Department of Corrections, he was paroled in August 2021 and got out. Sherman believes White's arrest on February 19, 2023 shouldn't have been kept quiet.
There's a reason the public has a right to know these things. It's so that we can educate, inform, and reform problems that are going on.
4 days later, on February 23rd, there's the assault at Straub's.
Body slamming a 70-year-old grandmother.
It's a story that sounds unbelievable. News 4 investigates exposed what happened. She was walking into the store when she noticed a man at her car.
She called 911, and as she did that, he rushed her.
Now we obtained the surveillance video giving a bird's eye view of the shocking attack.
I know my sister don't want to watch it. She's not able right now.
Sheila's sister is seen running into the store, followed by White. He appears uncontrollable, taking swings at multiple employees and causing quite the scene before he rushes back outside.
She's scared to go out. She's scared to go to the store. She's scared to go to her car.
Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner's office first charged White with 4th-degree assault, a misdemeanor. A few weeks later, a grand jury reviewed the case and bumped the charges up to 1st-degree assault, which is a felony.
It's a shame because you would think that you would be protected by the people that you elected, and you're not.
Sheila claims her sister has been kept in the dark. Prosecutors never told her about White's DWI and assault arrest just days before.
Kim Gardner allowed this to happen. She allowed this to happen, so I blame her.
Well, I mean,
let's keep it a buck. Sisters, y'all supported Kim Gardner. Y'all really did. Oh, y'all supported her. And I got footage from, man, how long back does my catalog go? I mean, I've got thousands of videos I've done on St. Louis. Y'all loved Kim Gardner. Let's keep it a buck. Because, I mean, she appears to be LGBT. She is a sister. She's checking off all the diversity boxes. Y'all loved her. So don't act like y'all didn't love her. I mean, y'all were defending her tooth and nail. Literally, just, I mean, a couple years ago. Okay? A couple years ago.
Y'all defended this woman. So not all the culpability has to go on Kim Gardner, all right? Y'all need to start taking accountability now, and accountability for what you might ask for who you voted for. Who'd you vote for, ma'am? That's what I thought.
To happen. She allowed this to happen, so I blame her.
Left wondering about the what if.
Because you're voting for the people who are appointing these crooked Soros-funded DAs. I mean, it just... And they don't get it. I'm telling you right now, they don't get it. They can't fathom it. They can't understand it. Even if you explained it to them in layman's terms, they can't understand that they are the reason why this is happening. It's messed up, but it's actually quite hilarious, when you do the type of content I do,
That case was handled differently.
He should have been in jail. This would have never happened to my sister.
Ooh.
Currently, White is being held without bond. We do want to stress he has only been charged in the...
Damn, she got some hips on her. What the hell?
Straub's assault. His DWI arrest from days before is still pending review from prosecutors. We asked prosecutors about that. They sent us a statement saying if the police bring over a case and flag it as a public safety issue, it is reviewed expeditiously. We're going to continue reaching out to the Circuit Attorney's Office to understand what happened here. Susan Corey, News 4 investigates.
Yo, what's good, BGZM News 17 family? I'm at the corner of Jesse Jackson and Marcus Garvey, and I got some bad news for you. As you can see, I lost my job. I'm out here living in cardboard boxes outside of boarded up vacant homes. YouTube said I'm done getting money out here in these streets. They even took my funky ass suit. So anything right now would help. So go ahead and hit that Cash App, hit that PayPal, hit that GoFundMe, hell, cop the merch. Or if you want to make the long-term commitment to the Jinquavius Jackson Fund, join the Patreon so that I can continue to put out top-notch content each and every day. Also, check out the Rumble, where there is absolutely no censorship. Link in the description box below.
Hey, yo, ain't that nigga Jinquavius? Yo, I recognize.
No, that's not me no more.
Hey, yo, run your pocket.
Y'all killing me with this shit.
Do the opposite of Antonio Brown and take
What
all your
more
shit
do
off.
you want from me?
Central West End attack giving way to a courtroom disturbance today. This case is raising more questions about what's going on in St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner's office. News 4 investigator Susan
You want me to answer what's going on? Nothing is going on. I'm telling you right now, and you don't have to believe me or not, but these sisters, they get in power. All they do is talk on the podium, pre-prepared scripts, woke scripts that are pre-prepared. And I'm talking about months in advance. These scripts are pre-prepared, okay? And they might not know that these scripts are pre-printed, but they are nonetheless. And a lot of these events are predetermined, and they have a speech for everything. So, anyways, they get into office, they make these speeches, they stand at a podium, try and look professional. But then when they get back to the office, they're literally doing nothing. As a matter of fact, they're looking for ways to dismantle the law, undermine the law, okay? They want a complete overhaul of the Constitution. That's what they want. And they're doing it in small gestures. And if you guys don't pick up, especially the community, we're doomed.
Corey was in court following this latest development.
Well, Corey, there were no cameras allowed in court, but we were there as the lawyer for the woman who was attacked tried to let prosecutors know how to contact her. He walked up to the prosecutor and held out his business card. The prosecutor knocked the card out of his hand. That's when a sheriff's deputy had to say, cut it out.
She's scared to death. We don't want this animal back out on the streets.
Sheila steps outside court after facing the man who attacked her sister. 59-year-old John White Jr., a convicted murderer on parole.
He body slammed her, kicked her, stomped her.
It's a case that's getting a lot of attention because it happened during the day. A St. Louis grandmother attacked at Straub's in the Central West End. According to police records, Sheila's sister saw White try to get into her car. She called 911. White lunged for her.
This should have never happened, period. And especially at Straub's at 8:15 in the morning, all my sister was doing was going to get a slice of cake for one of her co-workers because it was her birthday. And she wound up being attacked.
Recent reporting by News 4 Investigates exposed how Sheila's sister claims prosecutors kept her in the dark. Her lawyer, Scott Sherman, took those concerns straight to the judge.
This is one of the most heinous acts against an innocent elderly person at a broad daylight in one of the safest neighborhoods in this city. And if we can't get the circuit attorney to help us bring these people to justice, it doesn't say very much for that office.
In court, he asked for heightened charges. White currently faces the lowest charge for assault. Sherman believes prosecutors need to consider that his client has a concussion and herniated disc.
These kinds of injuries that are debilitating, concussions, neck injuries, herniations, they elevate it to the most serious charge.
Prosecutors aren't doing interviews, but tell us their victim services will only talk to victims, not lawyers. Sheila says she just wants her sister, who's too.
So they'll only talk to victims, not lawyers, but then they're also not talking to the victims, as we have come to find out.
Afraid to talk, to have a voice.
We want our community to be safe. We want our families, our children.
Do you though? Now, look, I mean, now they're begging for safety. Oh my God, the irony. And I hate to laugh at the woman's misery, but you kind of have to. You kind of have to. You kind of have to make fun, because you have to let them know how stupid they were in pushing defund the police, in pushing criminal justice reform, in pushing these Soros-funded DAs, in pushing Kim Gardner, in pushing the diversity and the diversity over merit agenda. Y'all did that. Y'all did that. It was all you. So again, I ask, who'd you vote for?
Everyone to be safe, and we don't feel safe.
All right, so Susan, White is being held without bond, but what about his parole in that 1999 murder case?
Well, that's something that we keep trying to ask about. He's being held right now, or what he had been convicted for was a 1999 murder case. We know that's out of St. Louis County. The Missouri Department of Corrections, we keep asking them for records on it. They won't give them to us. And another important thing to note here, Circuit Attorney's Office, they tell us they can't comment on any pending cases, but they did tell us that they have contacted the woman who was attacked multiple times. We also asked them about the tension that we saw in court today. They tell us they can't answer any of those questions.
We know you'll keep following it. All right, Susan, thank you. First Alert 4 investigation, a grandmother attacked outside a Central West End grocery store by a convicted murderer. It was all captured on surveillance video you've only seen right here on First Alert 4. Our I-team has been following this case for months, and the woman's family and lawyer questioned how city prosecutors under former Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner were handling this case. Now they say things are changing with the new administration. Here's First Alert 4 investigator Susan Elcory.
The attack happened right here at the front door of Straub's. That was back in February, and it's only now 6 months later that the woman's family believes city prosecutors are giving this case the attention it deserves.
I'm just glad she's alive.
To this day, Sheila has a hard time talking about, let alone seeing the video of her 70-year-old sister being attacked by a convicted murderer.
I just feel so helpless sometimes that I can't help.
But she now feels they're getting help from St. Louis Circuit Attorney Gabe Gore's office, who just put a new prosecutor on the case. Gore took over in May after former Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner resigned.
And is this a step in the right direction? I don't know much about Gabriel Gore, but look, man, if he ain't a Republican, then it's an L.
Seeing a difference and they're on it.
Investigators say the man seen in this video from February kicking Sheila's sister, then going into the Central West End Straubs and causing quite the scene, is John White Jr. The 59-year-old convicted murderer was out on parole. Nearly 2 decades ago, court records show White admitted he shot into a St. Louis County home, killing a 9-year-old girl playing inside. White.
Wow. So that's what he's down for. Killing a 9-year-old girl, and Kim Gardner gave this guy parole. I mean, this woman must hate women, must hate little girls. I mean, isn't that what they say about me for reviewing these evil things that these super gremlins are doing? They say I'm the hateful one for calling it out. You imagine that? I mean, I'm demonetized, shadow banned, censored. And the woman, Kim Gardner, she goes and says, hey, you know, this guy, he's a convicted murderer in the 90s when we know them were the biggest and baddest dudes. The 90s, this guy's convicted of killing a 9-year-old girl, sliding, shooting, spinning the block, and deleting a 9-year-old girl. And because I speak about this, I hate myself. And I'm spewing hateful, bigoted rhetoric. And, you know, but the woman who lets the man out who kills a 9-year-old girl after 2 decades didn't even serve a life sentence when she really should have. He's up for parole. The woman who lets this man out is vindicated of all wrongdoing, right? She loves the black community, right? She's a staple, and her accolades, I mean, it's going to be a resume builder for her. The job that she held in St. Louis, and she's going to be able to go and get hired in any other liberal city in the nation. Oh yeah, you bet your behind she will. It doesn't matter that she resigned in disgrace or stepped down in disgrace or whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay? She still will be able to get a job. Her resume is padded now. She can work anywhere in the country.
He was sentenced to 25 years in prison. He served 21. It's all information Sheila says prosecutors in Kim Gardner's office didn't tell her sister.
It seemed like the cases was just like swept under the rug with Kim Gardner. And it's like you didn't have any, you know, honesty there.
Yeah, no ish, bro, because let's keep it a buck. These woke leftist sisters, they're not honest. But don't act like you wasn't in love with her black girl magic 6 months ago. Well, maybe 6 months ago was too close to when her sister was attacked, but let's go 12 months ago, 18 months ago. Don't act like you weren't in love with her black girl magic. Don't do it. Because whether you like it or not, this is as much on you guys as it is on her. Okay? It is.
You know, you didn't have anybody that really cared about the public.
For months, First Alert 4 Investigates has been looking into the case. Our reporting uncovered how days before the attack at Straubs, White was arrested. Records we found show he was booked for a DUI and for assaulting a nurse and police officer. Prosecutors at Kim Gardner's office never charged him, so White walked free. And
the reason why they didn't charge him is because they didn't want it to seem like they had made a mistake by letting him go. And this is the problem with the woke liberals. They can't admit they're wrong. They double down when they're wrong. Just like we're going to see a double down on the pandemonium. They're going to attempt it again this fall, this winter. There's going to be lockdowns. It's going to be the same thing. And they're going to double down even harder. It's going to be more liberals complying, more people. I'm telling you right now.
Something else, Sheila claims prosecutors didn't tell her sister.
He should never see daylight ever again.
Then there's the fact that Gardner's office first...
Whoa. That doesn't seem very forgiving. of your brother, okay? Right? Isn't he our brother? Well, that doesn't seem very forgiving. He should never see daylight again. Whoa, wait, why? I mean, he's an upstanding scholar. Why would he not be able to see daylight again? I'm just not connecting the dots. Oh yeah, because he killed a 9-year-old girl 20 years ago. When he got out on parole, what did he do? He went straight to the pipe. Then he beats up a 70-year-old woman, and now the community is begging, pleading for him to stay locked up. When just, you look back 12 months ago, they were saying defund the police, open up all the prisons, release them, get them on supervised release. Oh, how the tide has turned.
Fact that Gardner's office first charged White with 4th-degree assault, a misdemeanor. A few weeks later, a grand jury reviewed the case and bumped the charges up to 1st-degree assault, a felony.
That man viciously attacked my sister.
While Sheila says her sister isn't ready to talk about what happened.
She's not the same sister.
So, I hate to be insensitive, but I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm just going to be like, okay, he attacked your sister. So what? Ninjas die every day, B. Ninjas get attacked every day, B. And I hate to do this, but would she really have this same energy if he had attacked a glider? Let's keep it a buck. No, she wouldn't. I guarantee she'd be at the courthouse steps. He need a second chance, honey. He needs a second chance. Girl, he ain't had his fair shot at life yet. Ain't that what they were saying 18 months ago, 6 months ago? Come on. Some of them are still saying it.
She's fragile. She's scared.
She believes her voice will be represented in the matter of days since the new prosecutor has been assigned the case.
Yeah, that man did an A-town stomp on Shorty face.
Sheila says she's seen change.
His office has reached out to my sister, and which it makes a big difference. It makes her feel like she is somebody.
Tonight, John White is in the city jail. He hasn't been given bond. At this point, no trial date has been set. We're, of course, going to continue following what happens with this case. In the Central West End, Susan L. Corey, First Alert 4 investigates.
Circuit Attorney Gabe Gore sent us a statement writing, quote, "It is a priority for this office to hold violent criminals accountable and work closely with victims to make sure that they understand the process and the status of pending cases."
Well, sounds good. Let's see if it actually is implemented. Because I know, and hopefully the new St. Louis Circuit Attorney Gabe Gore knows that these super gremlins are on demon time.
Our approach in Mr. White's case reflects how we intend to approach all cases where someone has been a victim of a violent crime, end quote. Our I-team recently reported how more violent criminals are being charged since Gore took office. Since the change in leadership, prosecutors have been charging an average of 71 cases a week. That is a 48% increase compared to the weekly number of cases filed under Kim Gardner this year.
Gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.